Ladies, please don't scroll past this. There's one mistake older women make every single day, and it's hiding right there in your kitchen. It's not just aging your body. It may be feeding cancer cells without you even knowing it. Today, I'm going to share 10 foods that feed cancer in older women. And if you're over 60, this list is non-negotiable. These aren't just my opinions. These are data-backed, clinic-proven, and often ignored by most doctors. Please, watch until the end. You may just save your own life or the life of someone you love. And if you care about your health, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, which of these surprised you most? Let's start with the biggest offender. 1. Processed meats, bacon, ham, sausages. Processed meats are often the forgotten villains of the Western diet. You see, when you're older, you're looking for easy protein. Something quick, something satisfying. And I get it, opening a packet of sliced ham or throwing a few sausages into a pan can feel like an effortless dinner. But let me tell you exactly why this habit might be feeding more than just your hunger. It could be feeding cancer cells. Most processed meats are preserved with nitrates and nitrites, chemicals that prevent bacterial growth and enhance color. When these preservatives are exposed to high heat, like pan frying or baking, they convert into nitrosamines, a class of compounds that are well-established carcinogens. These nitrosamines don't just float around harmlessly, they interact directly with your DNA, increasing the risk of mutations that can lead to stomach, colorectal, and pancreatic cancers. Older women in particular are vulnerable here. With age, gastric acid production often declines, meaning your stomach doesn't break down harmful compounds as effectively as it once did. Plus, many older women take acid-reducing medications, further compromising digestion and natural detoxification. And here's the kicker. Even small, daily servings of processed meat, like one strip of bacon or a slice of salami, have been shown in large studies to increase the risk of colorectal cancer by up to 18%. It's not about never eating bacon again. It's about understanding that this normal food comes with a price, especially in older bodies that aren't as resilient as they used to be. 2. Refined sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Let's talk sugar. Not the kind in your fruit, not the teaspoon in your tea. I mean refined sugar, white table sugar, and worse, high fructose corn syrup. These aren't just empty calories. They're metabolic dynamite, especially for older women. Why? Because cancer cells thrive on glucose. It's their primary energy source. This is called the Warburg effect, a phenomenon where cancer cells consume glucose at a much higher rate than normal cells. So when you eat sugar, especially in the form of refined carbs or sugary snacks, you're creating the perfect internal environment for abnormal cells to grow, and fast. But it doesn't stop there. High fructose corn syrup, found in sodas, flavored yogurts, salad dressings, and even healthy granola bars, goes straight to the liver, where it's converted into fat and triggers insulin resistance. Over time, this increases levels of insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, which has been strongly linked to breast, colon, and endometrial cancers. And remember, after menopause, many women become more insulin resistant naturally, which means your body doesn't handle sugar the way it used to. A slice of cake at 30 is very different than a slice of cake at 70. If you're eating sugar daily, especially without fiber, protein, or fat to slow its absorption, you're not just gaining weight, you may be feeding dangerous cellular activity. My advice: keep sugar under 20 grams a day if you can, and eliminate syrupy processed foods entirely. You'll notice clearer energy, fewer hot flashes, and potentially lower cancer risk. 3. Hydrogenated oils, trans fats. If there's one ingredient I wish I could erase from every label in the supermarket, it's hydrogenated oil, otherwise known as trans fats. These were once advertised as heart-healthy alternatives to butter. Now we know the truth. They're one of the most toxic fats in the modern food supply, and a direct supporter of cancer growth. Hydrogenated oils are created by pumping hydrogen into liquid vegetable oils, turning them into semi-solid fats that increase shelf life and texture. But that chemical process does something terrible inside your body. First, trans fats are pro-inflammatory. They don't just make your joints ache, they increase chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout your system. And chronic inflammation? That's the biological soil in which cancer grows and spreads. Second, these fats integrate themselves into your cell membranes, disrupting the way cells communicate and function. When cell membranes are weakened, your immune system becomes less efficient at recognizing and destroying abnormal or precancerous cells. That's a scary reality, especially for older adults whose immune surveillance is already declining. You'll find hydrogenated oils in many shelf-stable products, store-bought baked goods, microwave popcorn, frozen pizzas, creamers, crackers, even healthy protein bars. The solution is simple. Read the label. If it says partially hydrogenated oil, put it back. Choose products with real fats like olive oil, coconut oil, or grass-fed butter. Your body was designed to use those. It was never meant to process man-made grease. 4. Charred or grilled red meats. I know grilling feels nostalgic. It reminds you of family barbecues, sunny afternoons, maybe even your partner flipping steaks while the grandkids run around the yard. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When you grill red meat at high temperatures, especially until it's charred or blackened, you create toxic compounds called heterocyclic amines, HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. These are not minor irritants. They're powerful carcinogens, well documented to increase the risk of cancers, particularly colon, pancreatic, and prostate cancers. Older women are uniquely susceptible. With age, your body produces fewer enzymes that detoxify these carcinogens. Your DNA repair mechanisms aren't as fast or efficient. Add in a compromised microbiome, often affected by medications, antibiotics, or processed food, and your risk rises even further. Don't misunderstand me. You don't need to become a vegetarian to stay safe. But you do need to cook smarter. Try marinating your meat with herbs like rosemary and thyme. These have compounds that reduce HCA formation. Slow cooking or baking at lower temperatures. Using leaner cuts and never eating the charred black edges. Those grill marks may look tasty, but they could also mark the beginning of cellular mutations that no one sees until it's too late. 5. White bread, pasta, and other refined carbs. Let me paint you a quick picture. You wake up, toast some white bread, have it with jam. Lunchtime rolls around, a sandwich on soft white rolls. Dinner, maybe pasta with some sauce. No dessert, no junk food. Sounds innocent enough, right? But here's what's really happening inside your body. Every one of those meals floods your bloodstream with simple carbohydrates, which are broken down rapidly into glucose. This glucose doesn't just feed your energy, it feeds cancer cells, especially if you're already insulin resistant, as many postmenopausal women are. And with repeated glucose spikes, your body pumps out more insulin and IGF-1, both of which promote cellular proliferation, a key characteristic of cancer growth. And here's something you won't hear often. Refined carbs don't contain the fiber needed to sweep out toxins. That means you're not only feeding potential cancer, you're giving it a comfortable home to settle in. In particular, diets high in white bread and pasta are linked to colorectal cancer, endometrial cancer, and even breast cancer, especially in women over 60. So what's the alternative? Choose whole grains like quinoa, oats, and sprouted breads. But even then, keep portions modest. Your body runs better on stability, not sugar roller coasters. Your plate doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be intentional. Because every meal is a chance to either fight cancer or feed it. 6. Artificial sweeteners, especially aspartame. Let me start by saying this. Just because something is sugar-free doesn't mean it's safe. Artificial sweeteners, especially aspartame, have been marketed to older women as a guilt-free way to enjoy sweetness without the sugar crash. But here's what most people don't know. Many of these artificial sweeteners come with a different kind of risk, one that doesn't show up on the scale, but in your cells. Aspartame, in particular, has been the subject of decades of research, debate, and scrutiny. While regulatory agencies still allow it in food, animal studies have shown clear links between aspartame and increased risks of lymphoma, leukemia, and brain tumors. More recently, the World Health Organization classified aspartame as a possible carcinogen. That's not something to ignore, especially if you're consuming it daily in diet sodas, sugar-free yogurts, gum, or even chewable supplements. Older women often metabolize these chemicals more slowly than younger individuals, meaning the toxins linger longer, putting added strain on your liver and kidneys. And here's something most people miss. Even if aspartame doesn't directly cause cancer in every case, it may still contribute by disrupting gut health, increasing oxidative stress, and impairing immune function, all of which lower your body's natural cancer defenses. And don't forget the trick it plays on your brain. Artificial sweeteners can confuse your hunger signals, leading to more cravings and even more processed food consumption. Safer choices? Try stevia, monk fruit, or a touch of raw honey if your blood sugar allows. Or better yet, train your taste buds to enjoy subtle sweetness from real foods like fruit, cinnamon, or even coconut. Artificial sweeteners promise convenience. But for older women, they may be delivering something far more dangerous. 7. Alcohol, even in moderation. I know this one might hit a nerve. Many older women enjoy a nightly glass of wine to relax, celebrate, or feel social. And for years, the message was, a little alcohol is good for the heart. But let's clear the air with the latest evidence, especially when it comes to cancer risk. There is no safe level of alcohol consumption when it comes to cancer. Even small amounts, like 1 glass of wine per day, have been shown to increase the risk of breast cancer, especially in postmenopausal women. That's because alcohol gets broken down into acetaldehyde, a toxic compound that can damage DNA and interfere with the body's natural repair mechanisms. And remember, your liver, the organ responsible for processing alcohol, becomes less efficient with age. So a small drink in your 60s or 70s has a bigger impact than it did in your 30s. Add in medications, reduced hydration, and hormonal shifts, and the result is a body far more vulnerable to damage from even moderate drinking. Alcohol also raises estrogen levels, which is particularly dangerous for women at risk of hormone-related cancers like breast and ovarian. Combine that with the immune suppression and inflammation alcohol causes, and you've got a recipe for serious long-term risks, masked by a temporary feeling of relaxation. I'm not here to shame anyone, but I do want you to know the facts. If you're drinking every night, it's not just your liver you're asking to work harder. It's your whole body, including your anti-cancer defenses. If you're looking to unwind, try herbal teas, adaptogens like ashwagandha, or guided meditation. Your body and your future self will thank you. 8. Canned foods with BPA linings. Canned foods are a pantry staple, especially for older women who live alone and want convenient meal options. But here's what most labels don't tell you. Many cans are lined with a chemical called bisphenol A, or BPA. And for women over 60, this is more than just a chemical. It's a hormonal disruptor that can influence your cancer risk. BPA is known to mimic estrogen, the female hormone that plays a role in several cancers, especially breast, ovarian, and endometrial. Even though your natural estrogen levels drop after menopause, BPA exposure can artificially elevate estrogenic activity, causing your cells to behave as if you were still producing high levels of hormones, which can fuel hormone-sensitive tumors. Think of it this way. Your body is trying to age gracefully, settle down hormonally, and maintain balance. BPA swoops in and throws that entire system out of whack. And BPA isn't just in canned soups or vegetables. It's in canned beans, sauces, even healthy lentils and organic tomato paste. And if you're heating those cans directly or storing leftovers in old plastic containers, you're compounding the exposure. What can you do? Look for cans labeled BPA-free. More brands are making the shift. Or even better, choose frozen vegetables, dried beans, or glass jar alternatives. If you use canned goods regularly, make this switch a priority. You don't need estrogen imposters running around in your body, especially not at this stage of life. 9. Farmed fish, like tilapia and farmed salmon. Fish is supposed to be healthy, right? That's what we've all been told. And in many cases, that's true. But not all fish are created equal, and for senior women, the wrong kind of fish could be quietly increasing inflammation and undermining your body's cancer defense systems. Farmed fish, especially tilapia and farmed salmon, are often raised in cramped, polluted conditions where they're fed unnatural diets full of soy, corn, and even animal byproducts. To keep them alive in these stressful environments, they're frequently injected with antibiotics and hormones and exposed to pesticides and dyes to give them an appealing color. When you eat this kind of fish, you're not just getting protein. You're ingesting chemical residues, inflammatory omega-6 fats, and toxins that accumulate in the fat tissues, especially dangerous for older women whose immune systems and detox organs like the liver are not as robust as they once were. Farmed fish have been found to contain dioxins and PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, both of which are linked to increased cancer risk, immune dysfunction, and hormone imbalance. Here's what to do instead. Buy wild-caught salmon, sardines, or mackerel. Look for labels like Alaskan, Pacific, or Poland line caught. Eat smaller fish, which accumulate fewer toxins. Fish can absolutely be part of a cancer-fighting diet, but only if you choose quality over convenience. 10. Dairy with added hormones, especially in the U.S. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about dairy. For many older women, dairy is a daily habit, whether it's milk in coffee, yogurt for breakfast, or cheese in the evening. But most people have no idea how commercial dairy is produced and how it might be impacting your cancer risk. In countries like the U.S., conventional dairy products often come from cows injected with recombinant bovine growth hormone, RBGH, a synthetic hormone used to increase milk production. Sounds efficient, right? But here's what happens next. This artificial hormone increases levels of insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, in both the cow and the human who consumes the milk. IGF-1 is a powerful cell growth stimulant, and while that sounds good for growing hair or nails, it's dangerous when it comes to cancer. Higher levels of IGF-1 are strongly linked to increased risks of breast, colon, and prostate cancer. For women who are already postmenopausal and may have a history of hormone-sensitive conditions, this is especially concerning. And that's not all. Some commercial dairy products may contain traces of antibiotics, pesticides, and pus cells from infected udders. Your body wasn't designed to process these impurities, and over time, they can create the perfect storm of inflammation, hormone imbalance, and immune suppression. If you choose to consume dairy, go organic, and look for labels that say no added hormones. Or consider plant-based options like unsweetened almond, oat, or coconut milk. Just watch for additives and sugar. At this stage of life, your body deserves clean, gentle nourishment, not hormone-saturated leftovers from industrial farming.